South through Sidaris, trying to get clear of the quarter. Thought about passing it, but couldn't get his arms free. 18 minutes of the match remaining as Fennick comes up to the quarter line. McFarlane over the top. And good defence underneath there from Brooks, in fact. Steve Edmed's on the sideline, so he only went to the sin bin earlier, so it looks like he'll come back onto the field, and his replacement Paul Upfield will come off. Scrum to pack with Gary Freeman to feed it for Balmain. Scrums at this stage 9-5 in favour of the Tigers. This should make it 10. It does so. Freeman to Neil, to Jack. Jack taken there around the legs by Rod Maybon. Terry Hill over the top. There's Matt Parrish. Well tackled by Jim Sidaris. Plays it forward, no marker. He's got support and he goes making good yardage there, really, right 10 metres into South Sydney territory. Very lax defence by South around the ruck after not providing a marker. Elias dummies to kick, gives it out to McGarry, slightly forward perhaps on the right wing, but referee says play on. Some handball back inside. Combination netball and handball from Balmain, but they scoop it up through Freeman, and he brings it back pretty much to the original place that they got that scrappy handling. Elias angling for another penalty there with Fennick lying in the way of the play of the ball. It's the last tackle now as McNeil will play it. Goes back to Elias for the kick. Weaves around Terry Hill. Gives a pass finally away to Brooks. Roach does the handball over to James Grant. He's got too much pace. Got away from Darren Brown, heading for the line. Maybon coming at him. He evades Maybon to go in and bring it closer to the post before he's finally challenged there by Garlick. But the block of Roach over the head netball piece of work was the highlight there. But the quick hands work. Grant coming onto the ball very well out wide. Got around the makeshift centre in Darren Brown and showed a clean player of heels to the line. Maybon couldn't take him 2 metres out. And James Grant able to put it into good position when he actually touched down for his second try. Well, Balmain are being a bit cheeky, really. That was very cheeky stuff by Roach out in the backs there and handballing the ball back on. And of course earlier out on the right hand side of the play there, they'd been just throwing the ball around with Gay abandoned before Freeman made that run to recoup the ground. So Balmain in scintillating form, 36-10 their advantage, with Tim Brasher looking for another 2 points for them. And Steve Roach has earned rest. Paul Upfield comes back on the field. Brasher's kicked it. And for Tim Brasher now, that means 5 out of 8. 38 points to 10. Balmain in front. Just a little bit under 16 minutes remaining. Well, Souths, of course, have made it more difficult on themselves with a lack of discipline in this match. Regular appearances in the sin bin by Fennick and Blake and Davidson, and then a situation where Blake compounded now with a send-off. Pretty hard to play in the Sydney Winfield competition with 13 men on the field at all times. Very tight comp. Playing against the third place team and regularly having 12 men, it makes it almost an impossible task. Parrish takes it, gives it to Steve O'Brien. Former Canterbury player goes right through. Paper thin defence. Bryan straight up the middle. O'Brien still going. Tries to get away from Maven. Steve Maven, the last attempt to tackle there, the last hope for South on that occasion. They spin it wide through Freeman and Neil. Neil gives it to Jack. Quick hands onto Brooks. Brooks out with the backs back inside to McNeil as usual on the ball to back up and keep the move alive. And it's David Boyle there to tackle him. Play the ball back across through that sunlit patch. Freeman, upfield. Upfield over to McFarlane. McFarlane skirting out wide, gives it back inside to Parrish. Parrish throws a pass anywhere, which had probably gone forward. And that's the view of McCullum, even though Freeman was able to collect it. So a scrum to pack, some 12 metres from the South Sydney line. Well, Balmain are just having a glorified game of touch, really. They're taking all the chances in the world, and why not with a scoreline of 38-10. They're throwing it around and just having an afternoon out now. South's come up with possession. Mabon to play it. He does so to Sedaris. And it's Brooks there to take him. Also Parrish in the tackle. Second marker now. Garlick gave it across there to Davidson. Couldn't get his pass away to Boyle. And his tackle at the quarter line. Upfield in the tackle is Coleman. Gives the ball across from Mabon, who really had to dive forward to control that. He did well to keep possession for South in the end. 20 metres out. Coleman for the kick. It's too strong on the grandstand side by a metre or so. So the scrum will go back just inside the quarter line of Souths, with Gary Freeman to feed it for Balmain. 13 minutes remaining. Balmain have scored 7 tries to 2. An exhilarating afternoon from their point of view, and great enjoyment for their fans as the Tigers come up with the scrum. Crisscross between Neal, Brasher and Freeman. Finally goes to Grant. Back to McNeil. Out on the wing there to McGarry. Sees the corner and sets sails for it, but can't quite make it. Taken touch in goal. Taken over the corner post. And Maven was the last line again. Maven, one of the players that has saved South Bacon on a couple of occasions by chasing out there. And Steve Maven's defence has saved a certain try on several occasions. So it's Garlick giving the tap up to Davidson. Davidson 10 metres out from his quarter. And the penalty going against Upfield, lying around in the ruck area and being an obstruction. McCullum's been fairly consistent on it throughout the match. The penalties now favour Souths by 8-6. South Sydney in front there 8-6. O'Brien takes that. It didn't go out. Cardinal sin when the opportunity is to get down and attack near the Balmain quarter. But the ball's back with the Tigers. Gary Jack gives it to Neal. Neal to Freeman across through Brasher to Benny Elias. Sees daylight again. Maven comes at him though and manages on the second attempt to gather him in. 5 metres short of halfway. Upfield stays with the blindside momentum by Souths, by the Tigers rather, as Edmed went ahead, picks up Brooks. Is only about 13 metres short of the quarter in South's territory. Freeman now. Coleman well up offside, but they've got inside in behind him through McFarlane. He thought about passing the ball off the ground there. Comes through Freeman to Parrish. Matt Parrish gives it on to Elias. Elias can't quite get away from Fennick, and Brown's there to assist. It's the last tackle for the Tigers, 20 metres out. They stay with the blindside movement. McNeil put the kick in, but it rebounded off Terry Hill, and 6 again, says the ref. As Grant put up the kick, and it was a strange sort of kick. I think he had a sort of two-mind situation between a field goal attempt and a bomb, and in the end he sort of put up a punt kick that was far too deep. Here's Les Davidson trying to drag it back again. Gets 11 metres out from the quarter. Garlick onto Fennick. He's driven back. Brooks in the tackle, along with Matt Parrish over the top. Garlick scurrying away on the open side from the dummy half position. Makes about 8 or 9 metres. But with Davidson 7 metres short of halfway. Tackle made by Freeman. Elias goes after Hill, and Hill evades him and tries to get away from Freeman, but can't do so, especially as he's wrapped up there by McFarlane as well. It's the last tackle against Souths. Garlick puts the kick in from dummy half. It's charged down by Upfield. It puts Hill onside, and Souths get it back, and six to go right on halfway. 6 again, in fact, as the ball is rucked at the play the ball. Sedaris unloading, but the referee had called held, and he rules, in fact, that he's passed off the ground. So the penalty going to Balmain. 9.5 minutes remaining. Gary Jack kicks for the Western or grandstand side at Leichhardt. And Brian gathers the ball. Gary Jack to take this tap. He goes straight ahead. Must have been feeling a bit left out at fullback and wants to get into the action. I haven't really seen him take the tap too often. Freeman to Neal. Across to Edmed, going straight ahead. Terry Hill tries to gather him in. The ball goes loose. Edmed couldn't get it away properly. Sedaris played it. to Garlick. A lot of Balmain people inside the 5 there. A lot of obstruction around the markers. They were standing side by side. Rod Maybon, quick tap and straight ahead. It's out now to Boyle. Takes on upfield and also Brooks. 5 metres into Balmain territory. Up for Hill. Terry Hill going straight ahead. Elias has him, but he gets the ball away to Boyle backing up. And it's upfield and Freeman to tackle him. Midway between quarter and halfway. They come the blind side. Through Fennick to Sidaris. Sidaris plays it to Coleman. Goes out of Garlick's reach, but he regathers it on the last tackle as McNeil claimed him there. Terry Hill puts a kick in, which is juggled beautifully by Brasher. Went into his arms, and on the second chance he gathered it in, and is left to Boyle and also Fennick to clean up there. 10 metres short of halfway. Through Freeman to upfield. Upfield plays it. Struggle to his feet. The South markers there are all over the place. Play just on halfway through Matt Parrish. Comes to Edmed, full of running. Seems to have well and truly recovered from that break in the head bin rather earlier in the half. Freeman to Neal, the reverse with Freeman. A long ball for Brasher. Great combination and understanding by the Balmain backs. It's been the feature of this game and all their work through the season, really. Bit of work put in there by Darren Brown, but everybody's missed it. It's the last tackle. And Benny Elias kicks it downtown. Rod Maybon scurrying back for it. And he was hopeful it would go dead, but no such luck. He'll have to run it out, and he just gets into the field of play before he falls in front of Grant. Here's McCarthy. Can't make any other progress as Freeman is there with Grant. Very untidy attempt to play the ball. The ref gives Grant the benefit of the doubt as Steve Maven, rather. Confusion between him and Rod Maybon. Gets it out a few metres. Boyle now coming out a couple more metres to about 18 out from the south line. Upfield in the tackle with Edmed. This is Garlick. It's been one of the bright lights for South today. He's tried everything he can right through, and of course was rewarded with a very good try. Coleman gets the kick in, and McGarry doubles around to take it well, anticipated it nicely. He's got Brasher to support him there, but he's going well himself. Gets the ball inside to Freeman. Freeman gave it to Brasher. He couldn't handle it. It's that patchy light there through the shadows that probably a bit hard to read the ball. O'Day going across field, and Parrish puts him down along with Freeman's assistance. So that's Sidaris from the dummy half position to Coleman, back to Hill. Hill certainly worked tirelessly. Some good cover defence, which picked up the wingers to save tries. And as I mentioned, Maven out wide on a couple of occasions saving tries, but not too many bright spots for the Rabbitohs today. Fennick giving it to Garlick. Brooks and McFarlane in the defence. Coleman's kick. Again, it should be too strong, only by half a metre this time, but it's out on the full and the scrum goes back. So 5.5 minutes of the match remaining. It's 38 points to 10 to Balmain. Freeman now with that changeover situation after the ball went out on the full. Here's Brasher stepping inside nicely, still going. Taken over the top by Hill, and it was Maybon underneath him. Benny Elias at dummy half, hoping for a quick play of the ball. Gives it to the blind side. A long ball out there for Jack, who was positioned. To McGarry now. He tries to scheme his way through, but again, Hill's in the defence. And it was Darren Brown assisting. Elias through upfield to Neal. Back on the inside to McFarlane. And he tries to swivel around, but it's Boyle and Davidson who take him. Elias. Freeman doesn't really know what to do. He had plenty of options. He finally gives it to McFarlane. It's one thing Balmain aren't lacking his enthusiasm. Plenty of willing workers. Why not with that scoreline of 38 to 10. 5 minutes to go as Freeman puts the chip in. He'll get there too. No, Maybon just lucky to get on top of that bounce and force it for South for a line dropout. So the clock is stopped at the 5 minute to go mark. Balmain have made a change, a reward for Gary McFarlane for strong performance in the second row. And he's replaced by number 21, Mark Affleck. So Mark Affleck on for Balmain in 21, replacing Gary McFarlane. As Gary Jack comes weaving right through, almost all the way, but taken there by the ankle by Garlick. Benny Elias scheming now for Affleck, who's straight into the thick of things. Terry Hill holds him up, and Boyle comes in to collect the ball carrier. Ed Mid taken down 10 metres, 11 metres short of the line. Here's Elias. Gives the dummy. It was going to flick it back inside to one runner. Didn't. Gave it to McGarry finally, who got it inside here to Affleck, who's really trying to get into the action and warm up after being on the bench for virtually all of the match. Elias at dummy half. Freeman. Matt Parrish. Parrish looks inside. He's got a runner there. McGarry from the wing, and he slips through the defence of Davidson and also Garlick and scores under the post. Well, Davidson seemed to have a hold of him, but the winger who'd come right into centre field from his right wing position slipped right through there, and McGarry collects his second try for the match. So 42-10 scoreline, with a simple kick to come for Brasher to make it 44. Something like 4 minutes or a little less remaining. Well, South Sydney, of course, had plenty of media attention leading into this game for their drug testing situation and the stand that the club took. And there were many people who believed that they'd come out today to really give the Tigers quite a game. But Balmain were just too good. They had the use of the breeze, a strong breeze at Leichhardt in the first half, and they used it to great advantage, playing attractive football to pile on a 26-0 lead. We've got a very, very well blended side, the Tigers. Good, strong forwards and enterprising backs, and as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, their combination is excellent. They do the wraparounds and they coordinate very, very well. Brasher's got it there, and it's 44 points to 10. Well, the Balmain try scorer so far, McGarry 2 tries, Gary Jack a try, James Grant also 2 tries, Michael Neal and Gary Freeman have scored 1 each, David Brooks 1. And the extras have been added by Tim Brasher. Started a bit slowly in the goal-kicking department, but he's got 6 goals to his credit now. 44-10. McCarthy setting up the kickoff. And play resumes. Just over Parrish's head, but it deflects back to O'Brien, who takes it well. And after slipping, he still managed to stay in the play. And O'Brien, a pretty strong run to get within about 5 metres of the quarter line. Freeman gives it up there to Brooks. Brooks to about 20 metres out. Benny Elias, a dummy half, goes the blind side, responds to Parrish's call. He makes a few more metres. Fennick and Garlick in the defence. Here's Affleck. He makes more ground. Spirited run from him. 10 metres over the quarter. Here's Edmed. Upfield, the dummy half picked him up, and Edmed's been full of running throughout the match. Very strong runner, and only goes in one direction, straight ahead. Benny Elias calling for it at the back of the ruck. Gave it through upfield to McNeil, but Brasher couldn't handle that one. And it's Brown who picks it up. He's got a bit of speed, but the second row comes centre today is gathered in by Gary Jack on the quarter line. McCarthy giving it to Hill. Longer ball for Coleman. It goes out there to Sidaris, who did very well to let that bounce and collect it. It was taken by Brasher, and it's play on. I thought maybe the referee might have thought that Brasher should have left Sidaris alone. Play comes to a halt after O'Day's tackle on the quarter, and comes to a halt for the day with a scoreline of Balmain 44, South Sydney 10. I went through the Balmain scorers for you, but for South Sydney, tries to Mark Carroll and Sean Garlick, and Darren McCarthy kicked 1 goal from 2 attempts. So great effort by Balmain, pressing on towards the premiership lead in the Sydney Winfield Premiership for 1990, and they'll be a strong contender come semi-final time. So Rick Wade for Rugby League replays, and a Balmain scoreline of 44-10 against South Sydney.
Rugby League replays, proudly sponsored by Qantas, the spirit of Australia.
Let's referee rules time on for this round 15 Winfield Cup match here at the Wollongong Showground. Balmain Tigers versus the Illawarra Steelers. Referee Eddie Ward this afternoon. Balmain running left to right across your screen. I'm Chris Culver and this is Rugby League Replays. First of all, the Balmain side as Sirenen's tackled on his own quarter line. The fullback is Gary Jack. The wings are Clint Robinson and Tony Chalmers. The centres, Tim Brasher and James Grant. The 5'8 is Damien McGarry. The half, Michael Neal. The lock is Matt Parrish. Second row is Gary McFarlane and Paul Sirenen. Props are Steve Edmed and Steve Roach. And the hooker and captain is Ben Elias. Here's Jack booting downfield inside Illawarra's territory. And Illawarra have got the ball through Moon. Penalty to Illawarra. It's against Brasher. The Illawarra side, the fullback David Riolo, the wings of Rod Wishart and David Moon, setters Brett Rodwell and Darren Curry, 5'8's John Simon, half Trevor Kissel, lock Ian Russ,